Hello everybody, this is Oliver from Neon. Today we are going to dive into tea number 2 from our stem tea sampler, and this is the stem tea from Shizuoka, the stem tea of the family Osada. So I have here the 4 stem tea sample set. So we got the Kukicha from Mr. Sakamoto, we have the Kukicha from Mr. Osada, so the one from today. We're gonna have the Kukicha of Yakushima, and we have the Karigane from Mr. Sakamoto as well. So, and today, the star of today will be the Osada tea, Kukicha tea. So this is a stem tea, which is a fine mix between stem and leaves. And what about this one here is, and how it is different from the other Kukicha we have in this sampler, is that the stems are a little bit more, or the amount of stems is a little bit higher than with the Yakushima Kukicha. So it has a little bit of a more haze side, it has a little bit of a more drier side, also a little bit more of a tingling on the top of the tongue. So this tea is definitely something different, and it's a very good addition to the Kukicha from Yakushima. So I tell you a little bit where this tea is from and a little bit how we discovered this tea. So we were in Shizuoka traveling this April, and we were looking also for different senchas. And when we visited Mr. Osada, from whom I already tried the matchas, which are quite nice, I wanted to dive a little bit more into its sencha, and then he let me try also his Kukicha, and I thought it's actually a quite nice note this tea has, especially on the drier side. It's something which you not so much see, as this tea is more of a mountain tea. Mountain tea in Japan means a little bit of a higher elevation for China. Here we talk about around 350 to 400 meters above sea level. And this tea is also grown into a little bit more into a stony area, in an organic tea area. So the Isagawa village is called also the organic village, because in this area there are only organic tea farmers, and Mr. Osada takes tea from them, and this is the Kukicha which he takes from them. And the nice part, as I said before, is it has a little bit more stems than leaves. So I'm gonna show this a little bit closer to you. So what you can see is that you have quite the bright parts here, and then you have the leaves, darker parts. This tea is unshaded, so it's still quite a bright leaf color. And that's why personally I like this tea quite a lot, because it gives a lot of space to a little bit more this kind of a little bit drier and hay note. And I'm gonna now dive into the tasting of this tea. But in the preparation of this, I'm just gonna tell you a little bit more about Kukicha. Kukicha is a very good tea for the evening. Now we have evening time here in Switzerland, so I often drink Kukicha just to soothe out the day. It's a little bit of a stronger tea. Some people might say it's a little bit of a harsher tea in terms of taste. It is loaded with minerals, it is low in caffeine, so you can easily drink it in the evening. And it is also a part, or integral part, of the macrobiotic diet. So it is something which is also on the health side quite often promoted. Due to the high mineral amount, it also is, out of my experience, a really good tea for if you have eaten something and you wait a little bit after a certain amount of time. This tea is a beautiful kind of roundup to your meal, helps you digest better, and it's just a good tea after a meal, or especially in the evening when you just want to kind of come down from your day if you had a stressful day or anything. So what I just did now is 65 degrees of Celsius of water. This means around 150 Fahrenheit, 155. And I left in like 100 milliliters of water, and then I just gonna wait for 1 minute until this tea is brewed. Good, so 1 minute is over, then I will just take this tea. So what you will notice immediately is that this tea, compared to maybe a fukamushi, which is deep steamed, or also to a sencha, is a little bit more yellow, a little bit stronger in its kind of golden color. So you can really see the golden beautiful color. And this is often a beautiful color of the stem teas due to the fact that they have a little bit more or have an amount of stems, and this one especially a little bit higher, give this, the tea water, the color. So I can just show you how the tea looks like now after the first brewing. So you can see a good mix of stems and leaves, and this one here, so the brighter parts here, the stems, and the darker parts are the leaves. The leaves will get bigger and bigger brewing after brewing. This is now the first one, 1 minute, they're slowly opening up. So I can show you, still a little bit rolled, this one here, slightly rolled, but it will become bigger and bigger from brewing to brewing. And now just try this one here. So already maybe on the nose, just have a look. So I get a clear kind of this a little bit more drier, a little bit haze side. So here definitely have it in the nose. I have also a little bit of a veggie side coming from the leaves. And I have a slight sweet corn side. So this is pretty nice. So we have a little bit of this umami apparently swinging with the taste of the tea. Umami, kind of this a little bit savory sweet note. And I have a little bit of an artichoke note as well in the nose. Now let's go over to the tasting. It is pretty dry. So this tea seems to be loaded with a lot of tannins. It has quite a dry tingling, a little bit of a tingling on the top of the tongue. It has this kind of yellowish hay note which is coming with it. It's not bitter or strongly bitter. There's a slight astringency swinging in the taste, but not too strong. That's why this tea is also due, even if it is kind of a more of a drier and a little bit more of this haze, also minerally loaded taste. There's no kind of deep or strong drive into this astringency of the taste. So this tea is still on the dry side, but not going too much into the astringency. There's also a nice sweetness swinging with the tea. So in the beginning I really have this kind of a little bit haze note, then I have a sweetness coming in the middle, and in the end I have more of a little bit of this dry sensation, a little bit this tingling sensation on the top of the tongue. So it's also quite a complex tea. This tea is made out of Yabukita cultivar. Yabukita cultivar is kind of the widest spread cultivar, so tea, kind of green tea type, which you have in Japan. The Japanese especially like Yabukita due to its broad taste profile, and here I definitely can confirm that it's quite a broad taste profile. First a little bit this haze note, this late summer grass note, going over into a more sweet, a little bit more of a complex kind of also slight savory note, and then leaving space for this a little bit drier tanninic note with a small tingling on the top of the tongue. But now I'm very curious to see how the second tasting or second brewing of this tea is. There's a slight astringency with it, so it's non-negligible that there is, so I couldn't say that there's no astringency with it, but there's a slight one. It gives a little bit of a citrusy, refreshing note also to the tea. So it's a quite kind of a animating tea, energetic tea in a way as well, without having too much of a kick. So second brewing important is that you just give it a little bit of time, but never like 1 minute or so. Just leave it in for there for maybe 10, 15, 20 seconds. The leaves, they just open up in the first brewing. In the second brewing, you don't need it anymore. So you can give it just 20 seconds and then you can pour the water like I do now. So we still can see a very, very beautiful color. There's a little bit more of green coming in, so I expect a little bit more of kind of a veggie tone. Still very, very, very yellow golden, but there's a kind of a hint of green more in this brew. So now I'm curious how the taste evolves already with the nose. Let's see. So nose side, I have much less green. I have much more of a hay flavor. There's a little bit of sweetness still swinging with it, but much less than in the first brewing. Artichoke is more or less gone. Yeah, we are very strong on the hay side, so I'm curious now how the taste of the tea is. As I expected, so there is a little bit more of kind of a greener side. The hay, kind of this first initial hay flavor or hay profile, really dims down now in the second brewing. So I don't have this top note of the hay. I directly have a little bit of a veggie, a little bit more of a vegetable spinachy note. But in the end, I have again this tingling, I have a little bit this dry nose sensation. So it lost a little bit from in this first top note, and leaving a little bit more space for this greenish notes, and giving more kind of in the middle, or in the beginning middle, you have much more of this spinachy note, but it's not as strong as with the Sencha, for example. With the Sencha, you have much more this intense green spinachy note. Here's just a slight spinach note, slight grassy note, but very, very, very smooth. And in the end, you have a little bit more of the citrusy note. I think the strength of this tea, or kind of the particularity of this tea, is definitely in its finishing. When you have a little bit kind of this dry citrusy kind of maybe you already had once when you just kind of took the skin of a lemon, and there's a little bit this dry flavor. Maybe you took it once in your mouth. There's a little bit of this in this tea, so definitely in the end is a kind of refreshing, a little bit dry citrusy note. Is definitely a particularity of this tea here. What's definitely needed with this tea is that you brew it at a lower temperature. So if you go up too high, I could imagine that it develops quite a strong kind of a stringent note, a stringent flavor profile. So try to keep it low, try to keep it at 140 Fahrenheit, at 60 degrees Celsius. Here I was at 65, I think I was already borderline. So try to really keep the temperature low to develop the nice smoothness of the tea and experience a little bit this drier side without too much of the stringency to it. So this was the Osada Kukicha, number 2 of our tea sampler set. So I hope you liked this one here. And if you ever have a question, never hesitate to ask me. I'll be happy to answer it. Bye bye, have a great day, and see you soon.